Ready? All right, we're going to talk about our pistons. We're kind of go through the whole engine program here. So in the beginning, a lot of the stuff is semi-modeled after the factory stuff. We made two different options: a 9-to-1 compression, which is more like RR style compression ratio, and then we also do this is a 10.5-to-1 compression. So if you look at some other videos, we talk about compression ratio changes and stuff like that. So this is going to be 10.5-to-1 with a stock cylinder head, stock head gasket. All those things being stock. As you start doing things to it, that compression ratio is going to drop. So we use this piston to fix some of those problems and builds that are more focused on, running like E85 or race gas, stuff like that. This is more like a pump gas piston, I would say. This fixes a lot of the problems with the fragile OEM pistons. These do have their limits though. They use an 18mm wrist pin. We made a connecting rod for these. We've played with their width and strength and stuff like that, but we're trying to keep the weight similar to OEM so we can save the client on balancing a crankshaft. That can get pretty expensive when you need to start adding heavy metals. So we tried to make this a more of a drop-in situation. So we offer these as a DIY kit, so you can basically build yourself with our parts. And then we also have like the higher end, higher horsepower situation where we have I believe this is 12.5-to-1 in a like all OEM configuration. It's going to be more like 11.5-to-1 or so in race trim, fully kitted out with all of the stuff that we normally do. And then we also, so we were having issues. We were having issues pushing out the bushing. And that happens from the pin flexing. And pistons will start to crack, other things will start to fail as that pin starts to flex a lot. So we tried a bunch of different materials to try to fix it, thicker walls, things like that. We're just at the limitation of this little 18mm wrist pin. So we designed a 20mm pin. So we were the first one that I know of to bring this to market. So clearly this thing it's a huge difference. Even it's only 2mm, but it's pretty clear. So all of our bigger packages use the 20mm pin combination. Because the pin is steel and we're adding all this mass in a pin by itself, we do balance the crankshafts in these, like we got to do it. So the connecting rod is actually beefed up for handling all the power in expectation that if you're going to do this pin, you're clearly looking to make horsepower. So as you can see, like versus our 18, they look very similar, but they're quite a bit beefier in their cross-sectional area. We do actually shorten the rod 1mm over stock. So we do that to keep the compression, I would say compression height similar to factory in terms of shortening the rod allows us to keep the ring pack in the same exact location. And it also adds some stability to the piston. It keeps a nice long fat skirt on it. So as you start to move that compression height up, making the rod longer or doing a stroke or things like that, all of these rings need to fit in a tighter spot. So we drop the rod a little bit, and then keep this ring pack very similar to what we've been running and had good success with. This piston also features a lateral gas port. So on top of the top ring are ports that are machined into the piston as you go around that essentially uses combustion pressure and gases to fill those little grooves, puts pressure behind the ring, and forces against the cylinder wall to help seal. And then this one would be considered a vertical port. So the problem with a vertical port is when you run like gas and fuels that are dirty, like have a lot of carbon, it'll tend to plug these holes up, or it'll plug up some of the holes. You know, so generally like these ones will stay pretty clean, but these ones will get all dirty. But when you run methanol or E85, your engine basically looks new when you take it apart. I mean, E85 definitely has more carbon in it, but a methanol engine, this piston will just change color. It'll like come out brand new. So we do a vertical port for guys that are using like really clean fuels. A lateral port is less problematic to having those issues because the side of the piston normally stays pretty clean. I mean, it will get a little bit of carbon on it, but these are two things that we've implemented into our higher packages going forward. More of a race gas situation, and if you want to do vertical, it's going to be like race only, methanol, E85, stuff like that. And then 20 millimeter pin, that's standard, balanced crankshafts, and then our connecting rod. And these also use the ARP 625 plus rod bolt. These are being used in a lot of people's high horsepower stuff. So you can buy this. Shops can buy it. You know, if you're building engines, you can buy our parts and use them. So it's not like exclusive to us. You can purchase this off the website. So I just wanted to go over our different piston options. If you are looking for a one-off custom situation, it is more expensive to do a one-off custom ordeal. Generally, we'll only do it if you buy 4 pistons for this particular situation, because if you ruin a piston for whatever reason and you need to try to order 1 piston, it's just not going to work. You have to buy a set again. So we'll do a set of 4. So if you ruin a piston, you can replace the 1, and that'll be the kit. But other than that, this is, you know, we have the full range of setup here, so this will pretty much fulfill all your needs.